All right, folks, I do have Thaddeus Thomas on the phone. Ted, can you hear me? Thaddeus?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Well, folks, Thaddeus Thomas is a multi-talented young, well, you know, he's still a young guy, I think, in cosmic terms, and he has been involved in poetry, dance, fire, walking, fire, eating, fire dancing, and all kinds of percussion instruments. So welcome to One World Radio, Thaddeus, and this time slot right now we're on Sun Ra's Cosmic Corner, so you're kind of fitting in here because you played with the orchestra for many years. But Thaddeus, maybe you can tell us how you became interested in music in your life, and when did it all start for you?
I imagine that I was born with music in my life. It started from an uncle by the name of Manny Thomas, who was my grandmother's oldest brother, who was one of the first recorded gospel singers on the Peacock label, Manny Thomas and the Hummingbird Singers. Also, I have an uncle who was an opera singer by the name of I.C., but he didn't pursue it on a top level. He sang in London and Canada a lot. He was afraid of the competition in the United States. And then I have another uncle whose name is Ray Dunn, who was the original Romantics, the Dream Lovers, and is sang so with the Coasters, the original Coasters.
Wow. So that's you got some bloodlines there. And so when did you start playing music?
I started playing music at the age of 9 years old. My introduction to professional theater was sitting on the lap of Mom's Mabley. A record was created at the Uptown Theater by Chess Records called Breakout, and Mom's used me as a little boy to sit on her lap, and my ball fell between her legs, and I reached for my ball to get it, and she made a joke, no, your arms are too low, and it became a classic, legendary punchline for comedy.
Wow, your arms are too low. That's funny. So what was your first instrument?
My first instrument was actually piano. I went to Catholic schools, and I had horners, piano, and I think the original first instrument was accordion, because my father's a Zuni Indian. They're from the Azteca tribe in Mexico and Texas, and they're in California also. But the first instrument was, he was a sailor, and he brought me horners from Germany and accordions from Germany. And he wanted me to learn the traditional Indian music and also classic music.
So
and
did
I
you?
was abreast to a lot of listening of music because his mother collected lots of music. And my father's sister's husband was the introduction to jazz to me. His name is Mousy. His real name is Mickey, but we called him Mousy. But when I was a little boy, he had collected all the Riverside and all the bebop and swing and syncopation. Right. And I used to go over there and just look at the record labels and covers, and he'd be playing it, and the music would just cool me out, take me someplace else, and make me, I thought about fantastic things in my mind.
Yeah. But did you actually study Native American music also?
Just being around my grandmother and great-great-grandmother and other older family members, they would, at holidays, they would speak in native tongue, and sometimes they would, really start playing some rhythms or something like that.
Yeah.
With some of the old records.
So then when you started playing music, was it jazz that you played first?
I started playing in kindergarten as like the assembly program. And I would play, or I started playing on metal pieces and drum pads.
Uh-huh. And so is that when you started picking up percussion?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even know it. That's when I was actually becoming a percussionist. I played preschool and assembly programs to like 4th grade.
Yeah. And then when you were a teenager, did you get involved in different bands?
No, I got out of it. I got into dancing because I got into women.
Oh, yeah.
And I got into dressing, trying to dress real slick, wearing very nice clothes, and trying to be an all-American, and go to parties and dance. So I danced, and that's how I got into the dance and theater side of things. I would go to parties and just dance to pick up the prettiest girls. And I'd dance up a storm.
Yeah.
And,
well, a lot of guys picked up electric guitars for the same reason.
That's right.
Yeah. And so when did you start playing professionally?
Actually, I was playing professionally when I was, at 8 years of age, I was a professional actor and not recognizing it on Mom's Mabley's lap. And then she also would come back to use me a lot for some of her acts in the area, say from New York to, like, say, Washington, D.C. But then professionally, I didn't recognize of ever being a professional musician. They used to have parties, neighborhood parties, and barbecues and stuff, and people would come and get me to sing, and I'd do a comedy, and I'd sing, and I'd act stupid, and I'd play sticks and cans, and I used to make my percussion was that at that time I used to use oatmeal boxes and sticks and stones, and you could get Johnny stickers, we call them, but they have like little shakers in them from trees, and I make sounds out of all different kind of things.
Yeah, well, that's pretty creative. And then when did you meet up with Sun Ra?
Well, we met actually through Miss Ife Teo, who was a minister now in Germany, who was a dancer. But we worked. It was a club called Tropical in Germantown in Shelton, and I used to go in there and do creative spiritual dancing with her. And Sonny used to come in and watch it, and then he asked her to do something with the band, and we did that a few times. At the same time, I was in college, and I was with this group called the Seeds of Blackness, and I was also on a circuit tour with Count Basie, Lionel Hampton, Benny Goodman, Hazel Scott, Mickey Capola, Duke Ellington, Billy Eckstein, and Basie, all the big bands at that time. And I was working with the lead dancer who was choreographing, and a lady named Libby Spencer, who was the original Cotton Club dancer, and the Apollo Lindy Hoppers, and Miss Hortense Allen was supposed to be the mother of dance, and of the what they call vernacular dancing, which is not ballet, modern, and jazz, but and there's no such thing as a jazz dance, but what they so-called vernacular was the original dancing coming from, like, say, the black neighborhoods, and actually from Kansas City, St. Louis, and the Delta, and then the stuff what arrived in, like, say, the ballrooms and the neighborhood dancing when it came up north. But Miss Allen is still alive. Miss Hortense Allen is still alive in Philadelphia, and she was one of the first filmed with Louis Jordan dancers, along with Miss Catherine. This is before Catherine Dunham's stuff was out.
So then Sun Ra recruited you as a dancer?
No, Sonny asked me to just come around because he liked the vibration of me. It was a concert after that. I stopped working with him because I was touring, and I was making money. I was with a college group called Seeds of Blackness too, and we were a professional group. And I went to school. I had a full-time school schedule, and then I toured. And between that at nights, I snuck. School didn't know I was doing all this stuff. I missed a lot of school, and took me 5 years to get out because of incompletes and stuff, tours and stuff I'd be on, missing airplanes and stuff. But we met at the Jamaican Dance Theater, and there was another lady there who wanted to work with him, and she reintroduced me to him, and he said, "Oh, but I met your vibration from someplace else." And she was trying to get a gig with him because she knew he had a gig the next day. I didn't care because I was making money. So, and I was gigging,
Yeah.
So he invited me to a television station the next day in Channel 6 in Philadelphia, PVI. And it went all over the southeastern coast. We did something like It Is in New York. And it was an incredible show. And then for like 3 months they invited me, airplane tickets all around the world, but I was busy. And then after a while I started getting into them, like, hitting the New York hits,
Mm-hmm.
And I started enjoying his music, and I recognized him as being an incredible master, basically because of the inflections of who he was trying to represent. He was trying to represent Fletcher Henderson and Andy Kirkland and Ellington and Basie and all of our great. I haven't named them all, but there's so many.
Right, the entire
Johnson, and I could go on and on. But the whole tradition of the music, and I saw Sun Ra as being a historical reflection of the whole music.
Right. The whole history of music was, came out of Sun Ra.
Yeah, because Sun Ra created. He's not like most musicians. Some musicians play music; they play their compositions. Sun Ra was a master entertainer because he knew what to play, and he responded from the audience's response, and the next tune or whatever he played was actually the vibrations he felt from the audience. And I think that that's incredible because that's the basis of the original vaudeville and the what they call tough on black actors. They had to learn how to work audiences, and this is what made him so famous, and that's why he's a multi-million-dollar and so recognized around the world now, because he created the whole production.
Right, and he understood things more than just about anybody else who ever created music in terms of the vibrations. Like you said, he played off the vibrations of the audience, but what he was doing with his musical group was creating vibrations to affect the audience at the same time.
Yes, he utilized us. Each of us, I felt each instrument musician around him, an artist, was so limited. We were so limited compared to him. He knew how to take our limitations, or he also knew how to take our genius, because all of us were definitely geniuses and masters in our own right to be around such a human being of such caliber. He knew how to take something and use it, and he could inspire you to bring something out of you, and I think that's why he was such a great master and a leader.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. And
also, I must say, though, that it's based from ancient cultures, from the
Egyptian and
beyond the Egyptian.
Yeah.
The cultures of the world started in South Africa. Actually, there's even a tribe today called the Lamba, and they connect the Lamba also with the DNA cells of, say, the Hasidic Jews or the rabbis. So you see, high planes of spirituality has been going on for centuries, even before we recognized the 2,000 years of what we call the Old Testament of the Bible. There have actually been 5 books written, and there are 3 books written even before the Old Testament of the Bible. And some of those scrolls are still in Ethiopia, but those things developed actually from South Africa. So he was dealing with omniversal feeling and also historical reflections. And he learned this from a man named James Bryant and Alton Abraham. These 3 men collaborated, and this is the original infinity. And Mr. Bryant is still alive, but Sun Ra's spirit is transcended, and Abraham has transcended. But these 3 men, we could say a trinity in Chicago, developed something that influenced the whole planet, because it wasn't a racial thing because he was persuasive of African descent. His thing was omniversal. Omniversal means everything, everybody. And his interest was for the universe and the embetterment of the human society, and also the treating of the planet. If you see Space is the Place, he starts off on another planet, saying that it's much beautiful.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to be the heaven. And they say what you get and what you give is what you get. And he was trying to serve the Creator. And by serving the Creator, since the Creator has created everything, Sun Ra wanted every human being, every animal, and every existing spirit of entity of life to have its cup runneth over and its well-being be in a perfect order, which everything is in a perfect order in this omniverse. But first you have to be reawoken again, like the Christians and some of those religions talk about. And the Buddhists, they talk about giving up the self.
Yeah, that's right. And well, Sun Ra was a spiritual leader. There's no doubt about it. And you know it as well as anybody, spending all your time with that amount of time you spent with him. And that's one of the great things about him is that affecting people's spiritual growth. So your dancing is really has been very exotic. I saw you many times run fire over your body and do all that stuff. Did you study those techniques, or did you just learn them come up with them yourself, or were you taught them by somebody?
I wasn't taught. I took chances. Actually, what happened was I was interested in folklore. See, I'm interested in folklore per se and cultural folklore. So I did a whole study and traveled around the world and studied this culture and that culture and whatever religious backgrounds I could get of certain cultures. And I did the whole world perspective of each culture. I took 10 years to do that, and then I came up with these theories on doing the fire. I learned that from the Candomblé and Macumba in Bahia and in Recife, or Brazil, and also from the Panlogo Society in Ghana, and also in the Congo, and I've also learned from the gentleman in Swaziland and Senegal, Guinea, and Nigeria.
Wow. Well, you really got around there, Thaddeus.
Well, yeah, and then also in Japan, we've had some workshops, and all throughout South America. I was interested in all the African and Latin and Cuban and the European cultures. I used to do European folk dances and stuff. I got a chance to dance with the last dancers of the Isadora Duncan Company. I was studying with people who had worked with the original Catherine Dunham Company, Mr. Hines, John Jones, a very high spiritual man who was a singer and dancer, Mr. Sam Carruthers, a great choreographer, Mr. Lewis Johnson, Tally Beatty. Alvin Ailey brought me to Olympic dancers from New Orleans.
Wow. Yeah.
And then many other dancers and choreographers. I'm not speaking so much of the modern dance styles and things like that, because there's a man named Ray McKeithen in New York City that people don't know about. He's a historian. He was one of the original Lindy's, and he was a band boy for Tito Puente and things like that. Cats like that I was with, Hortense Allen, the Hoofers, the original Hoofers. Cookie Cook was like my great-great-grandfather, Sandman Sims, Chuck Green, all those cats.
Well, so you did some tap dancing too?
Yeah, I did tap also. Tina Pratt, David Gilmour, Scobie Stroman was like a mentor for me. He was like a spiritual spirit. Wow. Barry calls him his spiritual shadow. Richard Wilkerson was a great influence. He mentored me a lot. Jim Harrison, the godfather of jazz, and Miss Fannie Harrison in New York City. The Jazzmobile, Larry Ridley, Clifford Jordan. I can just go on. Hal Vick. Just so many cats I've had a chance to. They spend time with me, man. And Walter Davis, Walter Bishop, Bags and we used to come to Jazz Cultural Theater when I lived there and worked with Barry for 8 years. We had a club called Jazz Cultural Theater, 28th and 8th Avenue, and I met all the bebop, Willie Line, all of them. Even Winton and them, when they first started, they were working with Walter Davis Jr.,
Yeah. Man, that's the giants and a half.
Yeah, Art Blakey used to do a jam session. I said all the cats been traveling for all the years. I've been traveling around in music. Used to meet the cats because there'd be 5 and 6 groups at one time. It's not like it is now. It's not what. This is not really the music or the venue of the music. What we see now is what's called something that's been buppified or totally controlled and misconscribed, because people don't really have a clue of what they're producing. When we did it, people loved it. And even if they lost money, they didn't care, because they were so happy from the spirit of what was going on, because they know they make the money. And it was always successful. Hasn't it been, Richard? You've been around a long time.
Hey, man, I'll tell you. I've loved it from the beginning, for me at least. One of the cool things about you also, Thaddeus, is that not only did you dance, but you melded poetry and dance. And I saw you once perform with Susie Ibarra, who now is like a major drummer in the jazz scene, and it was the first performance you ever did. I remember that.
Yeah, she was scared to come up on the stage, and I've always tried to inspire the young, and I got that from Art Blakey, because Blakey said the young, they have the inspiration, and you got to get them and teach them, and they're just afraid, and all they have to do is have the chance. And even like Ari Rowland now, who was young, and boy, so many cats I could name, that were young cats that.
Well, you gave Susie her first chance there,
and now she's on. She's a legend.
Right. That was great. So, with Thaddeus, you said you might have some music to share with us.
Yes, I do. I have something called His Story that I wrote in 1982. That's it.
Man, that was
His story. That's before Michael Jackson wrote his thing too.
Man, that was great. That was great. Were you on the lead percussion on that?
Well, I had a guy named Canoe who's a master percussionist, Ron McBee.
Oh yeah, know him.
I had Willie White, Clifford Barbaro.
Yeah, we know Clifford.
Pablo was playing bell. I had Bruce Edwards.
Yep. Well, now we're getting out of the percussion, but Bruce was on guitar there?
Yep. And I had myself, I was playing small clave stuff, and Elson Nascimento on the pseudo.
Our man Elson.
Santos.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, who's a special cat to the Sun Ra band. I think without Elson's spirit not being around, I don't think the band would be doing as well as it's doing. Elson is actually Sun Ra's angel for the orchestra.
Yep, and Sun Ra saw that too. He knew that.
He groomed Elson for this part.
Yeah, and he's a great guy. Elson.
Well, Elson comes from a very famous family because I think Elson's great-great-grandfather was the first, African persuasive business person in the world, because he was the first one to publish and copyright his music in Brazil in the early turn of the 19th century. His name is Mr. Santos, and he created the first sambas and what they call batucadas before sambas. And this is before, bossa nova and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And even cats in America hadn't copywritten and published their stuff, so he set up the business for us. It took a cat from Brazil named Mr. Santos, born in, I think he was born in Bahia or Recife, and he moved to São Paulo.
Yeah, yeah.
We're doing a Japanese Jazz Festival. We've been doing an incredible job in Harlem at 125th and 5th at the 5th Avenue Charlie Seafood Restaurant every Saturday from 8 to 10:30. And I've had the premier Japanese jazz musicians and Japanese traditional dancing and poetry premiere every Saturday. We're also doing something that I think is going to be exceptionally great. Next year at St. Peter's Church, March 18th, a Sunday from 7:30 to 9:30, we're presenting a special production, a world premiere of God's music. And it will be a total cast of all Japanese artists, streaming from Japanese spiritual music, traditional, to Japanese jazz.
Wow, and is this...
At St. Peter's Church, March 18th, God's music will be premiered at 53rd and Lexington at the City Core Center. And anybody's interested in that, you can always call 212-387-8565 to inquire about tickets.
Wow.
And the Sun Ra Orchestra is working the Painted Bride in Philadelphia for New Year's.
Yep.
For Millennium 2000.
With strings added, right?
With strings.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
And we're also premiering an incredible harpist by the name of Nina Bogado, who's from South Africa. And she'll be doing some work with me next year, too. I'll be presenting to her.
Will she be playing with the Japanese?
No, she'll be doing her own separate concerts. She's dealing with classic and traditional African music.
Nice.
But I'd like to get her, and I'm thinking about that. There's a new spot in the Lower East Side. I'd like to have her and Marshall do a concert. I'd like to have the classic in Africa meet the avant-garde.
Man, I'll tell you, that's something I've been trying to get Babatunde Olatunji and the orchestra to play together, and it's I'm just haven't been able to pull it off yet. But I think
maybe we can get Nina and the orchestra to play together.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We can do that in Connecticut and probably through Vermont and do a whole Eastern Coast tour. This God's music will be premiered in New York City, but we hope to make this an international festival that will tour all around the world. We're setting it on the East Coast first for next year, and then hopefully for Japan next 2 years, and hopefully all around the world. Who's ever listening, we hope that you'd like to present God's music because it's special.
Yeah, no, you're right. Now, is this your production? Is this something that comes from you?
Well, I don't do anything now. The production company is called God's All.
Okay.
God's Everything. So because it's God's Everything, it has nothing to do with me. Everything I'm doing is the Creator's. It's not my business.
Amen. Yeah.
I'm hopefully being blessed, empowered to help others while I am living in in my shell of life before I transcend to my spirit world. and meet my maker.
Yeah, folks, and I got to tell you that Thaddeus, was one of the best dancers I ever saw, but now he's unable to dance. He's mostly in a wheelchair and had a pretty serious injury dancing, right? That happened to you while you were dancing?
No, not while I was dancing. It's concurrent accidents, unfortunately. But I'm limited motion and wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
So-called safe for the rest of my life. But actually, I can't move. But folks, I wish you could really feel and understand the prayers and love that I'm sharing for all of you, because I'm definitely feeling wonderful blessings from all over the planet. And I'm listed in prayer notes in churches all over the world, such as St. Peter's, the Japanese Christian Church, the First Church of Christ. They're praying for me all over the world, and I feel your prayers, and I want to connect my omniversal love from God, the Creator, to you and your family, and I wish all blessings and love, since this is the time of the rebirth of Christ, the Advent coming on, the so-called Christmas season. We send all blessings and love and joy to you, your family, and this whole universe.
Well, we sure appreciate that, Ted, and it goes right back to you. We feel the same way about you, and really, we're looking forward to seeing you soon. So hopefully, we'll maybe get to see some of these Japanese performances.
Yes, come on down. It's the Fifth Avenue Seafood Restaurant. We have Miss Nabuko, Miss Sayochi, Mr. Ju, Miss Nayoko Ono, Miss Erica Matsu. We've had some incredible artists, and they're the top artists. Mr. Yoshi, incredible bassist. Miss Mika is another incredible bassist. And these are really renowned. Mr. Toru Takanoro, incredible professional drummers. Takamura Music, Miss Erica Matsu, Miss Atsuku. We could continue to name on and on. We had Miss Hiroshi this week. It's just been remarkable.
That's great, Ted. Thaddeus, and I got to tell you that I really did enjoy History there. That was a terrific thing. Now, did you do a full recording, or did you just record that one track, or do you have other tracks that recorded?
I had a lot of things that were recorded, but unfortunately, I was so busy traveling and stuff, and I left my work at Jazz Cultural Theater, and the whole collection was stolen.
Gosh.
My tapes, recordings, and I had a whole authentic collection of music from all around the world, anthropological music. It was taken. I hope whoever took it, they used it for their advantage, you know.
Yeah.
But I have just this one copy and another copy. But I have videos of my works and stuff like that.
Wow, because that was an
and the company will be starting Rachel Records, which is named after my grandmother. Rachel Records will also be producing CDs and vinyls and tapes in the next 2 years. So look out for that, folks. And like I said, God's All production.
God's All, that's it. What do we listen to in the background there?
This is called Afro Haiti. Okay. I wanted to leave the vibration of harmony. And since most people think that voodoo is negative, actually voodoo is what's called organic or supernatural healing. So I wanted to leave some supernatural healing through the airwaves. Since I'm only an antenna of the Creator, I need to leave something that's healing and healthy. We're in trying times, government changes and different things taking place. People need to have something spiritual in mind, not material. They need to learn something about the conscious of the spirit self, and it has more to do with just the body. And I'm saying this to the governments of the world, to all the businesses and corporations. There is a time now for healing and harmony, and this is 2001, and we are too late because it's 2000 over, and we haven't changed yet. Wars haven't stopped. People are still starving. They're still homeless. There's still famine. No one should be in jails. We should have what is called holistic healing, where we're helping everything develop, like the insects help plants, and a seed from the ground grows to a tree. It sprouts into life. We need to heal on this planet, life. My music is of the Creator. My music is of omni-love. My music is of harmony. My music is an antenna of the Creator.
Wow. Well, Thaddeus, you're right on, and that's a perfect way for us to end up our talk today. But we're really looking forward to seeing you soon, and we send our love to you, and the cosmos smiles on you, I'm sure.
Well, the cosmos means reaction, or what they say, give and come and go, call and effect, or call and response.
Yeah.
In Africa, it says Tanawa, I talk, you listen, you talk, I listen.
Yeah.
Let's listen to the silence of each other's mind. Let's listen to the care of kindness. Let's listen to the joy. Let's listen in to help each other live. Let's listening to help planet Earth join with the omniverse and be omniversal joy.
Right on, Thaddeus. All right. Well, we're going to send you off on your way, but we're going to hopefully see you real soon, and we'll be talking to you for sure, Thaddeus.
Lots of love.
Lots of love to you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, folks. Thaddeus Thomas right here on One World Radio. What a guy.
it.
Man, that was
His story. That's before Michael Jackson wrote his thing too.
Man, that was great. That was great. Were you on the lead percussion on that?
Well, I had a guy named Canoe who's a master percussionist, Ron McBee.
Oh yeah, know him.
I had Willie White, Clifford Barbaro.
Yeah, we know Clifford.
Pablo was playing bell. I had Bruce Edwards.
Yep. Well, now we're getting out of the percussion, but Bruce was on guitar there?
Yep. And I had myself, I was playing small clave stuff, and Elson Nascimento on the pseudo.
Our man Elson.
Santos.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, who's a special cat to the Sun Ra band. I think without Elson's spirit not being around, I don't think the band would be doing as well as it's doing. Elson is actually Sun Ra's angel for the orchestra.
Yep, and Sun Ra saw that too. He knew that.
He groomed Elson for this part.
Yeah, and but he's a great guy.
Well, Elson comes from a very famous family because I think Elson's great-great-grandfather was the first, African persuasive business person in the world, because he was the first one to publish and copyright his music in Brazil in the early turn of the 19th century. His name is Mr. Santos, and he created the first sambas and what they call batucadas before sambas. And this is before, bossa nova and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And even cats in America hadn't copywritten and published their stuff. So he set up the business for us. It took a cat from Brazil named Mr. Santos, born in, I think he was born in Bahia or Recife, and he moved to São Paulo.
Yeah, yeah.